Welcome back to the show, everyone. Our favorite astrophysicist, well, really the only one that I know, to tell you the truth, Dr. Jaymie Matthews here now.
Yes, he is, and he's going to be telling us about all sorts of scientific kind of stuff. How are you, Dr. Jaymie?
I'm doing very, very well.
So we've got two topics today. One we didn't get to last time, which is muy importante, about Star Trek.
That's right. Last time I was here, we were talking about the science of Star Trek, and a lot of people, a lot of viewers were disappointed. We didn't talk about their favorite form of Star Trek technology, the transporter.
All right,
now,
so how does it work?
We talked about phasers, we talked about all kinds of stuff, but transportation is something that I've actually read might be possible.
Well, it sounds like it's, and there are physicists who are doing things with quantum states of atoms, but the real challenge with the transporter is information. What you're really transmitting is the information that describes completely you or Fiona or a human being. And it turns out that it takes a lot to describe a human being. We estimate it takes 250 million terabytes of data to fully describe a single human being. Wow. Now, that's a big number. Astronomers, astrophysicists, we work with big numbers all the time, but you know, a billion nanoseconds is just 1 second. Put this in perspective. Remember Watson. Remember the supercomputer that the Jeopardy champion that Alex Trebek has dreams or nightmares about. Watson contains 16 terabytes.
Oh my!
Only 16.
I see the pinch point here.
Yeah. So really, what you want to do is transmit through the air, through space, information for a human being, and we can do that. Hey, we got wireless. There must be a wireless link right here. Yeah. And if you use the most efficient, fastest, broadest band wireless connection to transmit all the information representing a human being, it will take 3 billion trillion years in current technology. So you know, like, beam me up, Scotty.
Waiting. Kind of like waiting for summer.
You're turning to dust far before your hand even gets teleported.
So if you ask any scientist, it doesn't matter whether it's a computer scientist, an astrophysicist like myself, a molecular biologist, any scientist you ask about Star Trek technology for the transporter, this is the one technology that any of us would say is, if it's not impossible, it's very close to next to impossible.
Yeah, allowed to be here to deliver.
Now, something we know is possible is sending humans to the moon, into outer space, and we see a lot of it. But one thing I did not know is that you were at the first launch. That's
right. We went back in time to 1966, and this was the state of the art for space travel in the 23rd century, according to Gene Roddenberry in 1966. Here was the state of the art. 15 years later, 30 years ago, that's me, as an astrophysics student, impersonating a reporter to get full access to the Kennedy Space Center for a week before the launch, and to get to the launch pad and take pictures at every angle. And so, yeah, that's me. About the only time you're ever going to see me wearing a tie, by the way, was when I was impersonating a reporter.
And quite a tie it is.
And I was also a bit of a celebrity there, and so I was also being interviewed by Italian television, kind of the Italian version of Urban Rush, Corsa Urbana. So there's Michelangelo and Fiona, you know, 30 years ago, interviewing me.
I can't believe you were there. That must have been amazing.
Oh, it was incredible.
Is that, wait a second, can we just go back? Is that a boat shed in the background shaped like the shuttle? I just noticed that. Yeah,
that's, I can't remember what that was for.
That's the 80s.
It was actually supposed to be some kind of test article for the shuttle. And they liked it as the backdrop. For,
so we go back, this is 1981.
This is 1981, and this is the morning I was allowed to go out to the pad and take shots from every night.
How excited were you for this?
Oh, it was incredible. This was like sort of a dream come true. This was science fiction becoming reality for me. And there is the very first space shuttle, Columbia, the first orbiter.
Are these pictures that you took?
These are all pictures that I took. Yeah. And here we are. We're as close as anybody is allowed to be. 5 kilometers, 3.5 miles from the launch pad 39B. That's in NASA-EASE. That radius is called the Advanced Post-Launch Fallback Zone, which is, in other words, if the thing explodes, that's as far as pieces would land. So they decided they didn't want the media and the VIPs and the control center to have stuff falling on top of them. So that's our perspective. And there it is. This is one of my pictures of the launch of the very first space shuttle.
What a moment in history.
Really cool.
Rising into the sky. Yeah, and it was incredible. The thing takes off like a jackrabbit. You know, those solid rocket boosters, once you light them, it's like lighting a Roman candle, and whoa.
What does it sound like? I mean, we've seen it on television.
Well, if you've ever been to an AC/DC concert, or you're going to be hearing about Cheap Trick, you know, stand in front of one of those speakers during full blast, and that's what it's like. It's like your whole body is shaking, and that's from a distance of 5 kilometers away.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. And there's the plume afterwards, 2 minutes after the launch. It's left behind.
Very nice.
And then, so that was space travel 30 years ago, and it turns out, well, it hasn't changed that much in 30 years.
This is the final launch,
This
right?
is Atlantis, the last shuttle in service. Now, this is a picture that NASA took.
Yeah, it looks pretty close.
And Atlantis lands on, today's Tuesday, it lands on
Thursday morning. And so here I was there as a member of the Canadian Space Agency delegation. And so launch morning, and here from the
Jaymie,
VIP grandstand.
1981, being that student who had to impersonate a reporter to get to the launch, to being who you are today, how amazing is it for you to be standing there and being invited? Well,
yeah, when I was standing there looking at the shuttle from almost the same vantage point as 30 years before, it finally kind of dawned on me. It was a bit like one of those Star Trek transporter moments where I had like 1 foot in 30 years ago and 1 foot today. And when it came down to like the 9-minute mark, when it really seemed like it was going to happen, yeah, I kind of had a shiver.
Well, and you have a perfect slide that shows the difference between 1981.
So this is almost the same spot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. And here are the bigwigs from NASA, the director of NASA, the director of the Kennedy Space Center, and others addressing the astronauts and their families and the
them
VIPs.
on the blanket?
That's the next generation.
I love that the kids are not paying attention.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And that girl on the right, she's looking through binoculars backwards in reverse.
Future astronaut.
Future astrophysicist, future astronaut. And here it is. Here is that moment. Atlantis, the last time anyone is ever going to be able to witness this with their own eyes.
Yeah.
All of the shuttles will be retired. The surviving orbiters will be retired to museums.
I wanted to talk about what we have here because this is a piece of history. Tell us what this is.
Yeah, if you want to open up that box on Thursday morning, Atlantis is due to touch down. Yeah. And as it goes through the atmosphere, it's going to encounter extremely high temperatures of thousands of degrees.
We've seen that on Apollo 13.
That's right. And it is shielded by tiles. And this is an actual piece of shuttle tile. And it's as light as styrofoam.
Yeah, to say that it's light is an understatement.
It weighs nothing.
Yeah, and yet it has what a physicist would say, almost zero coefficient of thermal expansion.
Exactly
so you can put that in a exactly.
Yeah, you nailed it.
You could put that in a blast furnace and heat it up to like 3,000 degrees and hold it the way Fiona's holding it, and it would be glowing red hot, and you would not be in pain at all.
As we stand here and as the shuttle's launching or coming down on Thursday and doing its final landing, are you heartened by the progress we've made? Are you worried about the future of space travel and exploration?
Well, to be honest, we were talking about Star Trek before, to boldly go where no one has gone before. And to be honest, for the last 30 years, we have boldly orbited where everybody has orbited before. The International Space Station is, in that distance up, is about the same as the distance between Vancouver and Kelowna.
Right.
And so it doesn't really feel like we are at the final frontier. And maybe after the end of the shuttle, which was supposed to be a space truck, it was not supposed to be the Starship Enterprise. Yeah. Maybe the next era will bring that set of exploration. Barack Obama has set the goal for the United States to put astronauts on an asteroid by 2025. China has announced that it's going to build a space station, that it wants to go to the moon and on to Mars. And so it's going to be interesting. And in the United States, private enterprise has been handed the responsibility for the next generation of spacecraft. So I think we're going to see a lot more diversity because lots of different companies are going to compete with different designs. And so
space is a business.
It's a scary time for those of us who are excited about space exploration and astronomical research, but it's also a very exciting time in terms of the potential.
Thank you, Jaymie. And I hate to break it to you, but Bruce Willis already landed on an asteroid, my friend.
We'll talk about that.
Poor
next
guy.
time.
He seems so educated, and yet he knows nothing.
Don't you have asteroids?
Yeah, he did.